and welcome. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz. The date is December 17th, 2014. We're really fortunate. We've got one of your favorites on with us now. He's actually live in the studio here in Florida. I'm talking about Captain Capitalism. Actually, his real name is Clary, and he's visiting Florida. He was real anxious to get out of the tundra, which he calls home. And Aaron, welcome. You're here live in the studio. We're not used to that kind of thing. So if the audio quality suffers a little, can't help it. Please forgive. But Aaron, so one of the few who's actually been in the nerve center of the Financial Survival Network.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Aaron, I got to tell you, I'm intrigued here. You're now a consultant. You start out as a writer, a blogger, and now you're a consultant. Like, how does this work?
It happens when you work a security shift and you're bored and you got all your work done, and then you get an idea that you've always had since college. And my original idea was called NBS, which means No BS Securities, because I knew there was some corruption in my youth in the financial services market. Never followed up on it, and then I kept getting emails from readers and some fans of the podcast and all that other stuff, and understandably they want like help. Young kids, young guys, they need help with a little bit of guidance in life. And I basically said, look, guys, I can't answer. I was answering like emails about an hour and a half a day, and I got to be paid. So I charged. I said I'm going to start charging, and I thought that would make it go away. And then people started paying, and so I decided to set up a website. Can I say it on the air?
Yeah, sure. Okay, it's a family show. We won't bleep you though. Don't worry.
It's called Asshole Consulting, and that was it. I had a security shift. I programmed the website, got the URL. I had my buddy set up the email exchange server. And all of a sudden, I just basically told everyone, look, I'm charging if you want advice, and now people are paying. So
yeah, actually, if you wanted it to go away, the worst thing you could have done was charge for it, because before you were giving it away for free, the way people look at things, Aaron, is it has no value because it's free. Now that you're charging and you have to pay for the advice that Aaron gives out, it's extremely valuable. And I'll tell you this, if you double your fees, you will double the amount of business that you get because it'll be twice as valuable as it is now. This is the mindset of the public. I know for myself, for years and years, I used to just do free consults for attorneys. Stupidest thing I ever did. I should have just charged them $500 an hour because I would have had a lot more free time, and I would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know why I did it. It was the stupidest thing I ever did, but I guess it was an ego charge. I don't know. So the nature of your consulting business, this is what I find fascinating, because I guess I grew up in a different era. I don't feel that disconnected from younger people, but what exactly do you advise them on?
Primarily, it boils down to like 3 or 4 different categories. There's your career, dating, education, and then a lot of entrepreneurship. But the vast majority, not always, but the vast majority of my readership is young males. And unfortunately, the reason they're seeking me out is either because they didn't have a father, their father was absent, or their father was very emasculated, and they just do not have any male role model or male guidance. So they swallow the BS of follow your heart and the money will follow. They're now in debt. They have a worthless degree. How do I get out of it? A lot of guys coming out of the military saying, okay, what do I do now? Some people, they got dating troubles. Some guys, it's basically, I'm kind of their older. I'm too young to be their father, but definitely the older brother figure, the uncle figure that comes in, says, hey, listen, kid, you got to get your act together, and you slap them up a bit, and then you send them out into the real world, because no one's told them the harsh realities of dating and career, and you can't major in fluffy bunnies and chocolates. You have to go into engineering or something like that. So that's primarily where it comes from, is unfortunately a lack of fathers and a lack of male role models.
Yeah, I find that remarkable that somehow they found you, and they find you through your blog.
It's kind of turning into a firestorm where all the different pieces are playing off of each other. There's my YouTube channel, which, because a lot of them, they'll say, oh, I give them an option. I'm like, do you want an email response or do you want a YouTube response? And I'll put together a video, but I charge an extra $10 because it takes time to render and all that. And everybody want to be mentioned on YouTube. So I put that together. Well, also my YouTube channel started growing, and now people are starting to discover me there. There's people on the blog. There's people coming through the books. So all pistons are firing, and it's getting to the point where I have like about 3 requests a day. And it's great, but it's starting to become, I hate to say this because it'd almost be betraying my philosophy. I almost have a real job now. It's heaven forbid.
No, wait a second. You don't have a real job, because we just spent this morning, hour over at Starbucks hanging out.
I had cigar last night.
Yeah, we had a cigar. We hit the bars. I mean, real job in quotes. But trust me, when you get up to 10 requests a day, you need to double your rates, because that'll show that you're hitting critical mass. But so we're talking millennials here, correct? When somebody sends you a request, what information do you want from them?
Oh, it really depends on the request. Like if it's dating, and 9 out of 10 times the guy has trouble with girls, I say, okay, send me a picture of yourself. And I'll be bluntly honest. I say, look, you're fat, you're overweight, or you got to get a haircut, or you got to put on different clothes, something like that. If it's education or career, it's like, okay, I need to know what you want to do with your life. Kind of give me a general ballpark game strategy of your life. Where do you want to be? So you got to find out what their goals are, what they want to achieve, and then you just kind of, put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, this is what you got to do. So I mean, it really depends on the question, but what do you want out of life is pretty much the guiding question.
Okay, so a lot of dating questions come up, and and I guess you got experience in that area, and it's at your own risk. So, and then you get the career questions. So, guys coming back, they just got out of the Army, and they thought the Army was going to be their career for life, or they realized they didn't want to be there for life. And what do you tell them then?
It's sad, but I basically tell them, go back.
Go back to the Army?
Go back to, because I have a video, one of my most popular videos is don't try until you're 35. Which means don't try. You got to try at something, but you have to realize and accept with the amount of underemployment, high unemployment rates among young people, plus the old timers, they're not retiring because they didn't save up the money. The economy is not growing. This is not 1947 where you graduate from high school with or tech school and you go work for General Motors for a decent wage. There's no jobs for young people. There's jobs, but there's not really rewarding ones. And one of the best things out there for a young man or a woman today is the military. They cover food, clothing, shelter, education. Yes, you might get shot. Yes, you might be deployed. But you are not going to find an employer that's going to take you anywhere near as seriously or pay you and compensate you anywhere near what the military does. And so that's why I usually tell them is like, look, you don't have to stay in for the 20 years, but, get some kind of trade. The military will train you. Otherwise, it's, career-wise, it's kind of, accept what you do and do not control. And so I say, well, you can go into STEM, become an accountant, make a wise choice, but then also realize you're not becoming the CEO of it. You're not going to be challenged in the real working world. So ultimately, if you want any kind of reward, any kind of real career, you're going to have to become an entrepreneur of some kind. So that's the general advice I end up giving them is it's sad, but it's a lot of lower your expectations. I don't care what they told you on the Disney after school special. I don't care what your teachers or your parents say. I don't care what Barack Obama says. Life sucks. The real world sucks. The employment sucks. The labor market sucks. And you have to abide by that. So it's, again, it's the harsh fatherly love coming through.
Hey, well, one thing about the military is that you learn discipline. Mm-hmm. You learn to get up at a certain time, to complete a series of tasks, to accomplish a mission. And, in school, they don't really teach you that stuff. So they do learn skills that they're not going to learn in school or elsewhere. And they learn to take care of their appearance. activity, so hopefully they won't get fat. You don't see a lot of fat former ex-Marines out there.
No.
Army, yeah, but Marines and special forces guys generally are not obese. So there are certain benefits to being in the service, and you can get special skills there if they decide that you are worthy of them through various tests that aren't necessarily indicative of your true skill level or your true aptitude. So military is a good thing. When talking about entrepreneurism, and you kind of like backed your way into entrepreneurism, and I find those questions that you're getting from people fascinating because, let's face it, in employment, in going to work for corporations, because the job market is so thin, they become extremely selective, and they're only taking the top X number. Hey, up next, we're going to talk about entrepreneurism, things that you can do, things that you can help your kids do to excel in entrepreneurism and to succeed on the Financial Survival Network. And in case you just tuned in, you're listening to the Financial Survival Network. We're talking with Aaron Clarey, a.k.a. Captain Capitalism, and he's down here visiting us at the studios in Florida and talking about entrepreneurism and how it fits into his consulting business. I'll abbreviate it to A-hole consulting, asshole consulting. It's really taken off beyond your wildest expectations, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was expecting beer money, and now I'm making my mortgage payment with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? You're saying that most of your clients are millennials, right? Mm-hmm. So millennials, and so few of the population is ever really empowered or encouraged to become entrepreneurs, right? Correct.
Yeah. Well, you're brainwashed in school not to. I mean, you're supposed to be a conformist. Don't color outside the lines. So yeah, not only are humans naturally already genetically predisposed against entrepreneurship, but after you get through school, any kind of creativity you have if it's not beaten out of you, it's amazing you have any left. So you're definitely trained to be the good, obedient cog and not become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and that's the Prussian system of education that we've all come to know and love in the U.S. and the Western world, where you were trained to be a factory worker, cog in the wheel, and the entrepreneur has to kind of reach out and take the risk, because it's risky to be an entrepreneur because you might fail, and you might have to fail a number of times before you succeed, if ever, right? So when one of your clients has an entrepreneurial question, what are they asking primarily?
It's an annoying question. I charge extra for it, and it's usually, what should I do? And it's like, look, kid, if I knew what you should do, I'd do it myself, and I'd make the money. Mm-hmm. And I'll curse it, and I'll charge extra for it. So that's the most common one. But a lot of it is also like, what other skills should I learn? Like, let's say you got an IT guy, and he wants to program apps. They're usually lacking on the accounting or business structure side, like, how do I set up an LLC? And which, it's simple. Like for guys like you and me, we've done it, but it can be intimidating. Like if you've never gone to the Secretary of State, filed for an LLC, or you don't understand the legal or the risk management aspects of having a separate legal entity. I mean, even simple things like have a separate business account, have a separate credit card for your business. Do not mix. Save your receipts. So setting up, shoebox accounting, very simple introductory stuff is kind of where the majority of those questions lie.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking you should probably set up a course, because it sounds like your questions are falling into categories here.
They are, and I do have courses online. I got 2 classes I've been teaching for. Yeah. One's a stock valuation class. It's called The Analysis and Valuation of Stocks. And then another one is Stocks, Bonds, Investing, Oh My, and that's an introductory one. But so I do have the classes out there, but the questions I get with Asshole Consulting are really specific to these people. And I say, I got books, you could take it, or here's an accounting book. But there's always a kernel of uniqueness to there where it does require individual attention.
So feedback, after you answer the questions, a couple months goes by, do you get get feedback from these people like, hey, you changed my life. Thanks so much. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, well, it's only been 10 months since I've had the company. So, but I get a lot of people to say, thank you. That's the swift kick in the ass that I needed. I even have a testimonials page, where people, it's been overwhelmingly very positive. I don't think I've had one negative thing. I just because they want the truth. It's just they're so desperate to hear someone not lie to their face, and then all of a sudden it may be tough swallowing, but down the road, yeah, they're very happy. At least they understand. That confusion is gone. Why my mom told me that girls would like me for me, and I'm really nice and I'm sweet and I show up with flowers. It's like, you idiot! They don't operate that way. You gotta lose weight. You gotta be a bad boy. You gotta hit the gym and you gotta play aloof. And all of a sudden they're like, wow, thanks. And actually, they're no longer lost. They may not be successful, but at least they're no longer lost, and they know whatever choices and paths they have to travel to be successful.
That brings up something. False self-esteem, which is the anchor of modern American education and modern American parenting. If you go back to, I think it was that movie, Meet the Fockers, okay?
27th place or whatever.
Yeah, well, right. Robert De Niro is there with Dustin Hoffman, and they're looking at Ben Stiller's ribbons, and he's got like 25 ribbons for coming in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th place. And, Robert De Niro says, oh, 7th place, you must be so proud, And that is like, I remember my kids in the soccer league, and end of the league, and everybody gets a freaking trophy. And I'm thinking, my kid sucked at soccer. I don't want my kid getting a trophy for this lousy performance that she put in, because she sucked. But she gets a trophy. And, this false, fake self-esteem, because, look, you know it and I know it. It's only one way you get self-esteem, and that's from honest accomplishment, right?
And failure. Yeah. You need to fail and suffer and get that sting. And then when you genuinely accomplish something, you're like, oh, wow, I really earned this.
Yeah. So really, the people you're getting are the casualties of false self-esteem, of, Johnny, you're so good. You failed the test, but you failed it so well.
It's that. And what's sad, though, is the people that come to me, these are kids that are having an epiphany and they realize there's something wrong. So at least they're open and receptive to harsh criticism. Where I get, if there's any negative backlash, it's people that look at this or they see my YouTube channel where I dispense the advice, and they're like, you're such a jerk, you're so mean, It's like, sweetheart, you're the one with your master's in journalism, 120K in debt without a freaking job. And so it's those two worlds, the ones who quote unquote have taken the red pill, who are saying, wow, something's wrong and I really got to make some changes in my life, and they're willing to admit that maybe they've been misled. And then there are the kids who have been so brainwashed and so ego invested in their self-esteem that there's really no saving them, and the only response you get from them is rage or hatred or vitriol.
Yeah. And hey, education. So you encounter these kids a lot who are in debt, up to their eyeballs, and they got a fake degree. And, let's face it. I mean, I went to school. I will not tell you, till I hit law school, I was not a motivated student. And they basically, I didn't put out good work quality until my last year of college. Well, actually, till I went to night school. And, I saw like the people who were my classmates in night school actually wanted to be there. They had a goal, a purpose for being there. And, the problem, I think, with higher education now is when kids go to college right after high school, it's not purpose-driven and it's not goal-driven. And, they never teach you in high school how to find your passion unless you're a musician,
artist.
Artist, or you're a mathematical genius, or you're some kind of genius. The 80% who don't know what the F they want to do are just left to flounder in college. Oh, you'll find yourself there, like you say, in medieval French literaric lesbian,
Guatemalan studies.
Yeah, whatever, and, that's the big failing. And I guess you're seeing a lot of them as well, huh?
Well, there's that, but it's even worse because they're so trained to think that college has value unto itself that when they're going into college, that's all they have in life. That is their achievement. And then when they graduate, they all point to their education, no matter what it was in. And it's like, no, you don't understand. You still got 67% of your life to live here, kid. And you got to go do something now. There's nothing. Like, I remember one gal, she was a little tipsy, but she was like 38. She was a leftist. She heard I was a rightist, and she got in my face. And she just kept harping on the fact that she was a Cornell graduate. And I'm like, in what? She's like, marketing. I'm like, so what are you doing? Well, I'm in between jobs right now. It's like, you're a failure. It doesn't matter you went to Cornell. Who cares you went to Cornell? You're a Cornell
failure. You're an Ivy League failure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, there's no value in going to college. It's not an achievement until you go do something with it. And so, yeah, it's a delusion, but you got to look, you understand this, you see it, how college is the ultimate goal. There's nothing after that. And then once they've sucked all the financial blood out of you with tuition and K through 12 education, they dump you on the labor market. Big education no longer cares about you. And there you are with your ego, just like, it's all about my education. And you're so delusional, and you're so, what's the word I'm looking for? Your thinking is so, well, not even jaded, but your thinking is so corrupted. You're no longer functional or applicable to the real world after that.
Hey, and that's what you see with these kids. They stop learning. If they did whatever they were learning in college, they say, okay, I'm done learning. And really, when you get out of college, that's when your real learning just begins. Like how to make a payroll, how to fill out a 941 payroll form and send it to the government with a check so that they don't levy on your payroll account. Little things in life that actually matter, not whether you got an A or a B in some kind of obscure course that really has no relevance to life. And not to say that liberal arts isn't important. It is important when it's properly taught and understood for what it is as the basis for you going on in life, which is what it used to be about, but no longer.
No longer. It's just indoctrination. It's not. You don't get the classics anymore. You get Marxist indoctrination. That's all it is.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I can remember some good classes in college, but those were the exception. And my college was 35 years ago, and it's only gone downhill from there. So, hey, now's the time you tell us where we find you on the internet here.
Oh, I'm all over the place. I got a YouTube channel. So you just search on YouTube, Aaron Clary. You can go to my podcast. It's called The Clary Podcast. You can go Amazon. I got my books all there. You just search Aaron Clary. And then my main site, the mothership, is captaincapitalism.blogspot.com. And so if you go there, it links out to everything else, and you can find everything through that site.
All right, and we've got the links on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Make sure you go there, sign up for a free newsletter. Got a webinar coming up December 29th with David Morgan. He is one of the world's foremost authorities about silver and precious metals. We'll have the link up on the site shortly. Don't forget, check out the site. Stefan is the human aggregator. He is finding the real news from sources that you never even knew existed. He's so powerful at it and spends most of his days just scouring the internet for that offbeat article that really can make a difference in your life. You want to support the show, go to clubfsn.com. Clubfsn.com. We're trying to get this video channel up sometime during the first quarter, get some additional hosts onto the network as well. And hey, we'll be sending out an email with the link to sign up for the webinar. It's going to really be one of our best so far. Trying to do a webinar a month. Who knows, maybe we'll do one with Aaron shortly so you can get your life together or help you to get your kids' lives together, which really at this point, my life is more important to me than my own. Anyway, clubfsn.com, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com, sign up, and we'll be talking more later. Thanks.